van Beethoven and also Alexander Dumas, we're really focusing on another brother by the name of J.A. Rogers, who really played a very awesome role in our lives, although we may not realize the role that he played. But in light of that, we'd like to pour a libation, and we'd like to do it the way in which we would do it if we were home. And what we'd like to do is just pour it in honor of our brother, Joel Augustus Rogers, Ashe. We would like to call upon all of those ancestors, such as Joel A. Rogers, who has struggled for us and who has literally done a great deal for us. And we'll talk more about Dr. Rogers, but we also call upon the spirit and the essence of Ludwig van Beethoven, another brother, whom we really do not focus on that much. We'd like to focus on our brother Ludwig van Beethoven, Ashe. And to all of his family throughout the history of the Moors in Europe, particularly in Germany and in Austria. We call upon them also, Ashe. But not only that, we also call upon George Augustus Polgreen Bridgetower, a protege of Ludwig van Beethoven, who also was a brother and who was at his time the finest violinist in Europe, Ashe. We call upon another brother who was born in Guadeloupe and who came forward in an understanding of who he was as a person, and his name was Chevalier de Saint George. We'll talk about him today, Ashe. And to someone who followed him, who was as powerful as he was, General Alexander Dumas, Ashe. But also to Alexander Dumas' son, Alexander Dumas II, who was probably the finest writer, novelist in Europe, who is the author of such novels as The Three Musketeers and A Man in the Iron Mask, and all of the other great activities and writings that he did, Ashe. And to his son, another Alexander Dumas III, who in his time was the finest playwright in Europe during his time, Alexander Dumas III, Ashe. We take this time also to honor and pay homage to our own ancestors, that we may call their names. Even though we may know them or not know them, we ask them to be with us also. And in our own way, we ask you to call upon your ancestors, whether it be out loud or privately. We ask that you call upon your ancestors also. To all those that we know and to those that we may not know, we ask them to be with us this afternoon so that we may grow together. Ashe. Thank you, my brothers and sisters, for coming forward. Before I begin, I would like to ask my brother Laconia Smedley, who offered very generously to share with us a picture that he had of Ludwig van Beethoven. And we would like to place that picture possibly right here, if possible. We will be talking about this, and I have some overheads. I think it's very important for you to look at these pictures and to really understand what it is that we're facing as a people. It's really very powerful, and we'll be showing you. Thank you, Brother Smith. Thank you for sharing. There are just things that we are not open to, that we are not made aware of. We are not aware of the role that we have played in bringing music to Europe, that it was African people, in fact, that brought the first music conservatory to Europe. Testing. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
The picture that we have here is a picture of J.A. Rogers. And J.A. Rogers is very important to us, as you know, or as you may not know, in terms of some of the things that he has done for us as a people. And just before I begin, I would just like to read to you some information on Joel Augustus Rogers so that you can get a sense of who this giant of a man was, and how I often, if not always, humble myself before those of us who have those PhDs and MAs and MSs, and even those who do not. Because I found amongst us so many brilliant people without all of these alphabets after their name, yet they have achieved more than people that have all those alphabets. Joel A. Rogers, Joel Augustus Rogers, was born 1883, and he transcended in 1965. He was a historian, a journalist, a newspaper columnist. Joel Augustus Rogers was born in Jamaica, British West Indies, thought to be on December 6th in 1883. He was the son of Samuel and Emily Johnstone Rogers and came to the United States in 1906 and was naturalized in 1970. Being self-educated, Joel A. Rogers mastered several languages: Spanish, German, Portuguese, and French. His duties were, as he was in the United States, originally a journalist traveling in Europe, Asia, and Africa in search of material on the black man. He served with the British Army for 4 years, and he covered Haile Selassie's coronation in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 1930. He was a war correspondent to the Italo-Ethiopian conflict between 1935 and 1936 for the Pittsburgh Courier. Thus, he became the first Negro correspondent in United States history. He wrote an illustrated feature, Your History, for the Pittsburgh Courier. He lived in the heart of Harlem at 37 Morningside Avenue, accumulated a magnificent library, and entertained a wide group of interesting guests. For more than 50 years, he was one of the foremost Negro historians in the United States, in the United States. When one considers what Joel A. Rogers has done, it is rather impressive when one considers that he was conducting much of the research at this time when African historians were virtually non-existent in the United States. He published works such as Nature Leads in 1919, The Approaching Storm in 1920, Maroons of the West Indies and South America in 1921, Bloody Money 1923, The Ku Klux Klan Spirit for the Messenger in 1923, The Golden Door in 1927, Sex and Race Volumes 1 and 2, Nature Knows No Color Line, and Great Men of Color Volumes 1 and 2, Superman to Man, and with complete proof of Superman to Man in 1934. He published Your History from the Beginning of Time to the Present in 1940, and She Walks in Beauty, as many others also. Through much dedication, Rogers has painstakingly unearthed quite a bit of data relating to the black man in his past. His studies reveal the truth that historians have rewritten history to exclude, ignore, or recast black achievements by ascribing the achievements to Europeans. Throughout Rogers' extensive travels in Europe, he made the observation of black Madonnas, not to mention the many effigies of Jesus Christ as being black. He saw these in St. Peter's Cathedral, in Núria, Spain, in Aveyron, France, Switzerland, and Italy. He saw these in the Vatican, and even as a postage stamp with her effigy. Also in Germany, Poland, Portugal, and Russia. Through archaeological findings in Europe, Rogers was amazed that a lot of prominent figures were black, when in America they were falsely depicted as being European. This did nothing but add fuel to his desire to unearth the hidden truths about the black man. Thus he recorded his many findings in his books with pictures included as proof. Rogers lacked proper, so in quotes, proper scholastic credentials, which made it difficult getting his work published. So he published most of his work himself. Although some historians later confirmed his claims to be accurate, they still left Rogers largely unacknowledged. Rogers' work is impressive when one considers he was conducting much of his research at a time, again, when Negro historians were virtually non-existent. A comment by W.E.B. Du Bois said of J. Rogers, "I have learned much from James A. Rogers." He didn't quite understand his first name.